General Hospital spoilers reveal that Willow is experiencing a profound shock as the truth about the dark relationship between Drew and Nina is exposed. What she thought was peace, a recovery from past pain, is now torn apart by a series of revelations that make her feel as though the entire world is against her. Everything that once seemed stable, she had started opening up to Drew, believing he was a kind, compassionate man who could help her build a future after all the hurt she suffered because of Nina has been shattered. But then, Drew himself emerges from the shadows with a secret that Willow could never have anticipated. The news of the shady physical relationship between Nina and Drew hits Willow hard. Not only as a deep disappointment but also as a shock when she realizes that two of the most important people in her life, one being her biological mother and the other being someone she had let get close to her heart, share a past steeped in lies and deceit. Willow begins to spiral emotionally. She can no longer distinguish between who is truly sincere with her and who is exploiting her pain to conceal ulterior motives. The madness of Willow's emotions is growing more intense. She becomes cold, skeptical, and closed off from those around her. Her previously gentle, kind behavior is gradually replaced by defensiveness and isolation. The feeling of losing control consumes her, as she realizes she no longer has control over her own story. Others, Nina, Drew, even characters like Tracy and Ned, are slowly controlling the truth around her. Willow has become a victim in a game she never chose to play, yet she is now forced to face the consequences. What hurts Willow the most is not just the fact that Nina and Drew had a relationship, but the systematic deceit she is now drowning in. If Drew truly loved her, why didn't he confess this from the beginning? Why did he stay silent and allow others to use that very past as a weapon of threat? She feels betrayed once again, just as she did when she learned the truth about her identity or when Nina repeatedly crossed boundaries between mother and manipulator. Willow's madness is not just a fleeting emotion. It is a deep fracture inside her, an undercurrent of turmoil that threatens to undo everything she has tried to build. She begins to question the relationships around her. Does Michael know something? Did Carly warn her, but she ignored it? Each question she asks feels like a dagger twisting deeper into the doubts that were already on the verge of exploding. And things don't stop there. Information is spreading fast. Rumors are starting to surround her, and both social and family pressures are pushing Willow to the brink of collapse. She no longer has enough trust to open up to anyone. And the obsession with betrayal makes her retract, ready to abandon any relationship that still exists, even with Drew. Gradually, Willow is no longer just in pain, she is changing. She is no longer the gentle, vulnerable girl she once was. A part of her is rising, an icy, decisive part, ready to sever all ties if necessary. This transformation is laying the groundwork for an even bigger explosion in the future. Willow may no longer remain silent or patient as she once did. She will confront, she will question. And if needed, she will retaliate in the same way she was hurt. The story between Willow, Nina, and Drew is no longer just about a hidden truth, it is a ticking emotional bomb. And when it explodes, it won't only affect the three involved, but everyone who has ever been connected to them will be caught up in a chain of unpredictable consequences. A tangled future is approaching, and Willow, once the victim, may become the spark for an unprecedented showdown in Port Charles. The story is becoming increasingly crazy and out of control as new changes are strongly imposed on already fractured relationships. Willow, who once tried to keep everything in order, can no longer bear it. The mounting pressures, the exposed secrets, and especially the grim relationship between Nina and Drew have led her to make a decisive decision. To cut off all ties with both of them. No longer a quiet hurt or gentle warnings. Willow now steps forward with a clear and non-negotiable declaration. She does not want to continue any relationship with Nina, and especially with Drew, who has completely lost the trust she once gave him. Willow's actions are not merely an emotional response, but a major shift in how she views and deals with those around her. She no longer accepts being manipulated by late explanations or words like, "It's all for your own good." Willow realizes that, in order to protect herself and her daughter, She must set clear and firm boundaries. This creates a new obsession, one that begins to spread, not only within Willow but also within the already fragile relationship between Drew and Nina. They both once thought they could hide their pasts or find a way to control the aftermath, but now, everything has gone too far. Willow is no longer someone they can persuade, forgive, or placate. She has chosen her own path, and this coldness is becoming a real nightmare for Drew and Nina. The obsession intensifies when Drew realizes that his silence and lies have destroyed one of the best relationships he ever had. Willow no longer looks at him with trust or tenderness, instead. There is disappointment, disgust, and an impenetrable emotional wall. As for Nina, though she is used to being rejected, she never expected that this time. The rejection would come from her own biological daughter, with an unprecedented finality. And this is when both Drew and Nina begin to feel trapped in the chaos they created. Conversations between them are no longer about empathy, but about blame, suspicion, and fear that what they once concealed will continue to destroy everything. Meanwhile, Willow is on a new journey, a journey no longer bound by the past, no longer tormented by the expectations of others. She no longer needs to please Nina. She no longer needs to trust Drew. And this decision has freed her from the obsession that has weighed her down for so long. However, like any storm, peace after that decision may not come immediately. As Willow cuts her last ties with Nina and Drew, she simultaneously sets off a chain reaction. Major events are beginning to unfold that could shake Port Charles to its core. Will Drew try to salvage his relationship with Willow? Will Nina continue to dig herself deeper into her mistakes to win back her daughter? Or will they both be consumed by the obsession with the mess they have made? One thing is clear, madness is no longer a distant concept in this story. It has become the center of it all. And in this whirlwind, Willow stands strong like a lighthouse in the storm, ready to move on, leaving behind those who have caused her the most pain. Nina and Drew are struggling to mend a relationship that has been severely broken, but they quickly realize that earning Willow's trust is not only difficult, but almost impossible. Willow, after so much pain, is no longer the woman who forgives easily or is easily moved. She has learned to protect her heart with coldness, clear boundaries, and a long-suppressed anger that is gradually exploding into a new power. The adjustments Willow is making are no longer just impulsive emotions, they are deep, internal changes. She no longer allows delayed apologies or smooth justifications to soften her heart. Willow is now restructuring her views on family, love, and trust. And unfortunately for Nina and Drew, they are the two people being excluded from this new belief system. While Nina desperately tries to revive her maternal connection, Drew attempts to convince Willow that his relationship with Nina is over, that it meant nothing, just a mistake. But that very mistake is what brings down the foundation Willow had tried to rebuild after all the previous brokenness. She feels betrayed. Not just by the betrayal itself but also by how both of them concealed it, waiting until things were uncontrollable before making a confession as though it was a noble act. Willow had struggled a lot to forgive Nina, her biological mother, who had always intruded on her life with actions that caused more harm than care. She had given in for the sake of motherhood, for the love of Wiley, and the desire to build a real family. But after all of it, she was pulled back into a new web of lies. This time from both Nina and Drew, the man she once trusted to protect her heart and never betray her like others had. But then, in the midst of all this chaos, Michael returns. Michael's arrival is not only an emotional shock for Willow, but a comprehensive turning point for the storyline surrounding her. Michael isn't just an ex, he is the only one who ever truly understood her, saw the pain she hid, and was the only one who stood by her when she almost lost everything. Michael returns at the exact moment when Willow is desperate amidst a soul full of cracks. And his calm, trustworthy presence causes her to gradually let go of her cold defenses. Standing between Drew, the man who has disappointed her, and Michael, the one who was once her solid anchor, Willow begins to lean toward the memories and emotions that have never faded. Michael's return not only brings Willow a sense of safety, but it also sparks a series of strong changes in herself. She begins to think differently, act differently, and view life through a new lens. No longer blinded by family ties, no longer tortured by past feelings, but living for herself, for the safety and happiness of herself and her son. Drew and Nina, meanwhile, start to feel their control slipping away. They once thought they could control the situation by controlling words and actions. But Willow, now, is no longer under their influence. Every time she refuses to meet, every time she responds coldly with silence, it's an unspoken declaration. She is ready to move on, and will never look back. Even Nina begins to be haunted by the absolute cutoff Willow has imposed. She once thought she could reach her daughter through Drew, through family, or even through remorse. But no, Willow has learned how to protect herself by closing the final door between them. And Drew, who once thought he could mediate, resolving all conflicts, now stands isolated between two women he has hurt in different ways. He is no longer the hero, no longer the good guy, he is the one who harbors a damaging secret and now must face the consequences. Not only in relationships but in how everyone perceives him. Willow's transformation is no longer just an internal shift. It's a new storyline, a journey of strength, independence, and the complete control over every decision she makes. She is no longer passive in someone else's story. She is the center, the one rewriting the entire script. And in that world, Nina and Drew are just secondary characters, once given a chance to be loved, but now having lost the most valuable thing. Meanwhile, Michael is quietly preparing for a major strategic move, a calculated adjustment to regain control not just in his personal life but in the business world. After the pain Willow endured due to Nina and Drew's shady relationship, Michael hasn't just returned to comfort her, he's returned with a clear objective, to restore what's his. Protect Willow from the whirlwind of lies, and bring ELQ back on track under capable, righteous leadership. Michael's return is no coincidence. He's been watching from afar. And when he saw Nina and Drew starting to lose control, he knew the time had come. Willow is hurting, ELQ is being manipulated, and those who once betrayed him think they are secure. But Michael is a man of quiet, precise action. He doesn't stir things up with noise, he appears when least expected, and he will reclaim everything in his own way. Willow, filled with disappointment towards Nina and Drew, quickly becomes Michael's strongest ally. Not only because of the lingering love between them but because she understands that teaming up with Michael isn't just a personal act, it's a necessary step to protect herself, her son, and the values she once believed in. Willow is no longer the one standing behind others, and as she walks into a new battle alongside Michael, she shows a toughness and intelligence few ever recognized. Together, they carefully plan to turn the tide at ELQ. Michael, the rightful heir and experienced businessman, will not accept Drew, once a close partner, continuing to manipulate power while being involved with Nina, whom he never fully trusted. Now, with secrets exposed, Michael has every reason to lay out Drew's wrongdoings before the board and reclaim the shares, influence, and reputation that have been tarnished. One of the new conditions being set is for Willow to provide crucial information about Nina, the shady connections, interference in ELQ's operations, and even her relationship with Drew, which could be seen as a conflict of interest. The data Willow holds becomes a strategic lever, and Michael won't hesitate to use it when necessary. The situation is heating up. Drew, who once thought he could control everything with personal relationships and old loyalty, begins to realize he is losing ground. Nina, already weakened by her fractured relationship with Willow, now faces the risk of being dragged down by the very man she once believed would help restore her reputation. Michael and Willow are becoming a formidable alliance, not only because they share a common drive but because they have the same goal, to reclaim justice, power, and eliminate the manipulation that has pushed them to the brink of destruction. This battle is not just about revenge or reclaiming the ELQ leadership position, it's about taking control of their future, for Wiley, and for the trust they once lost. The complications are escalating. Michael's strategic moves are not impulsive, they are the result of long observation and precise calculation. ELQ is about to experience a major internal coup. And as Michael and Willow step forward together, this once broken pair may become an unexpected force, ready to crush anyone in their way, including Nina and Drew. The story is taking a clear turn. And the current turmoil is just the beginning of a power storm that is about to sweep through all of Port Charles. Nina is about to lose what she once craved the most. The title of Mother in Willow's heart. After all the attempts at healing, the tears, the apologies, and even the late regrets, Nina must finally face the bitter truth: Willow no longer accepts her as a mother. And when that happens, it's not just an emotional wound, but a direct hit to everything Nina had struggled to achieve. Willow tried. She compromised. She once opened her heart, tried to make room for Nina in her life, for the sake of motherhood, for Wiley, for the longing to have a real family. But when the truth about Nina and Drew's shady relationship was exposed, all the opportunities Nina once had vanished. It wasn't just a personal betrayal, it was the end of a long journey to seek forgiveness. And when Willow uttered her final words, rejecting the mother-daughter title, it was the moment everything Nina had held on to began to crumble. From access to Wiley, to her voice in family decisions, and even her social influence in Port Charles, all of it gradually disappears. Nina is no longer considered family. She has become an outsider in the very story she once was at the center of. The complications are spreading. Those who once sided with Nina are now beginning to back away. The sympathetic looks, the whispers behind her back, are now what Nina faces every day. She was once a powerful woman, a respected figure in the elite circles. Now, she is ruthlessly isolated, not only by her old enemies but by those who once called her friend. Tracy isn't shy about exploiting this weakness to increase pressure. Michael and Willow use it as a stepping stone to solidify control at ELQ. Carly sees it as a wake-up call for a woman who broke every moral boundary to achieve her goals. And with Drew, the murky relationship between them becomes suffocating as he realizes his career and personal image are being dragged down by Nina's downward spiral. Nina's adjustment in life begins with the loss of motherhood, but its consequences are a series of chain reactions that cannot be stopped. Nina is being withdrawn from all the power circles she once existed in. Event invitations, collaborations, even the trust of those who once respected her, all are gradually fading. Alone, hurt, and pushed to the margins, Nina must finally face the truth: she has lost Willow forever. And the cruelest part is that no one else, but herself, has pushed herself into this state. The explosion Nina is enduring isn't just from being stripped of her role as mother, but from losing the last semblance of dignity she once held. Now, in Willow's eyes, Nina is no longer a mother. In society's eyes, she is no longer a trustworthy figure. And in her own eyes, she is just a woman who made mistakes, and this time, there is no one left to forgive her. Nina's story has reached its darkest point. But the painful truth is that this is not an ending, it is the beginning of the isolation she will face for a long time ahead. And no one can save her, except herself. If she has a chance to start over, it must begin from the deepest place, where pride no longer has a place, and where the heart must learn to be sincere.